can start letting people in. Welcome, everybody, to Greener Pastures, 4 Steps to Immigrate Successfully. We are going to start our meeting at 6 o'clock on the dot. We are just waiting for one more guest speaker. But if you are new to this concept, why should you stay? A big part of immigration is to actually understand what is needed, the information, the process. And we are here together with George Marks. He's under my screen over here. And then we've got Sam LaRue also. There she's waving. And I'm just waiting for Faraz and 6 o'clock and we'll get moving. Yeah, welcome everybody. I hope you have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. It's freezing cold in Durban. We've got level 6 warnings, so if you are traveling, please be safe. But we are very excited for this webinar today. Awesome. We are also going to have a chat box, so I'm going to pop a message, so hopefully it comes up. In the meantime, if you could maybe share where you are joining us from, I'd love to know where everybody is, and let's see how far our reach is. So this is the chat box. Please share your questions. Okay, we will have a moment to answer questions also. Okay, right at the later on in the session. Okay, it's 6 o'clock on the dot. So once again, welcome everyone to 4 Steps to Immigrate Successfully. On all our adverts, it says 4 steps to immigrate smoothly, but honestly, we are a results-driven company, so we do it successfully. Okay. With me today, we've got Sam LaRue, if you can just wave your hand over there. Sam is from Sam LaRue Consulting. She has over 20 years of experience in headhunting and global recruitment. And we work closely with Sam LaRue Consulting. And then because we do work with immigration, we always need to follow the immigration laws. And we've got George Marks with us. You can just put your hand up. There we go. George is fortunately registered with both New Zealand and Australia. So really awesome when we do a double whammy for clients for both countries. Another also important factor with this whole webinar is this is not legal advice. This is a general discussion, and as we go through the process, you'll see what we mean. Okay, so who should stay for this webinar? One of the big things that my clients recently pointed out is that this process to immigrate is creating a generational legacy. Are you wanting to create a generational legacy for you and your family, where you're building a whole new life abroad with new opportunities? If you are, please react with the thumbs up. We want to see who's serious about their futures. If you want to advance your career, this is also a great opportunity. Globalization helps connect people. And at the end of the day, if people can't see you, they can't refer you. So we want to make sure that we are giving you the right opportunities. And then also, if you are brand new to the topic of immigration, you want to immigrate, but you have no idea where to start. Again, this is the webinar for you. So join us, please interact. We have the chat box below. Please, if you can share where you are from in the chat box, where you're joining us from, so we can see our reach today. Amazing. So moving on to the next topic, the reality. Okay, so a big point of immigration is you need to understand why. Why are you looking at immigrating? Have you ever found yourself searching at 2 o'clock in the morning looking for ways to make money overseas? Maybe this is a sign that you need to look at immigration. If you look at your kids and you wish to give them more freedom, maybe you need to consider immigration. And if you are constantly in fear of not making enough money or not being able to support and provide for your family, that is the reality as to why people look at immigration. It is possible. It is the right information that we are going to share with you, and we want to make this possible for you to get excited about. Sam, you put your hand up. You're excited.
I really am, and welcome everybody. It's come to my attention that some people are still waiting in the lobby. I just want to check.
Double check this. They should be able to just join. Otherwise, they may have joined on the wrong link. An email would have been sent out.
Okay, Faraz is looking to get in.
He hasn't come up on here. Let me just see if I can share. I can't share it now because my screen's huge. I'm not sure if he can go back and find another link. But we can jump in when he's ready. Okay. Awesome. So just carrying on with the reality of immigration, it's a big topic for everybody. I see people are joining us from Gauteng, from Pietermaritzburg, from Durban. So I just want to remind you all, this is an online webinar. It is not legal advice. It is general. And as we go through our 4 steps to successfully immigrate, you'll get the tools that you need to make this possible. Okay. So the reality of immigration is it is possible, but you need the right information. Why are people immigrating? The most powerful key for this move is your why you want to immigrate. That's something that you're going to remember later on in life. Your reason. So I'm going to bring up a few numbers. If you can type in the chat box the number that most resonates with you. Why people are immigrating? They're looking at work-life balance. They're looking for safety for them and their family. They're looking for financial pressure to try and release that financial pressure. They cannot handle it. They're looking at opportunities. They're looking at immigration for their children. They're looking at economic security, travel, the ability to travel on a first world passport, and obviously career growth. So in the chat box, type in the number. What is your biggest reason? If you've got more than 100%, choose all of them. But your reason for wanting to immigrate is the first step to this process. To be strong in believing your why. Okay. While you're going through that, let's talk a little bit about greener pastures. So greener pastures, we are a family-focused company. Higher SA evaluated us based off the holistic approach that we offer our clients. And for immigration, we are providing families with an overall package. So great to know that we were voted #1 in South Africa. Some of our clients, some reviews. An important part here is, again, it is a family-focused process and company, but also the results are key. We make sure that we can help you, and we will find a way. We start with a consultation, which is step 1, little sneak peek. We'll go through that in more detail a bit later. But you can see that through our process and our reviews with our clients is we hold your hand. We give you the skills that you need, the emotions, everything that you go through, we go through that with you in this process. Okay. Awesome. So for everybody, let's get moving with step 1 of our process. So step 1 is the roadmap. What country have you chosen for yourself for immigration? Please type in your country in the chat box, and let's see, we're going to ask you some questions to help you think about the roadmap of your future. So country, type that in the box. If it's Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe, UK, where are you hoping to go to? Okay. Awesome. I'm seeing Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia. Great options over here. Now, for the country that you've chosen, can you confidently answer that it's the right country based off, number one, your unique situation? So your family makeup, your qualifications, your, if your qualifications are not the standard, your work experience, can you confidently say that that country suits your current situation? Then what visa pathways do you have? Do you know your visa pathways? Do you know if that visa will allow you to get permanent residency? What pathways do you have to actually move to the country? Another option to think about is your occupation. Does your occupation have specific requirements, registration processes, exams that you have to follow? What about your occupation is relevant in that country? And then family. Is your family involved in this process? What are their visa pathways? What are their restrictions? Have you considered all of that? And then obviously timeline. Timeline is very important. What timeline do you predict? How soon do you need to resign from your job? How soon do you need to start putting your house on the market? Timeline is something that you really need to consider. Sam, sorry, I see Faraz has joined us. Faraz, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Amy. I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Faraz, I wanted to ask you, from a global recruitment perspective, how drastically has the international job market changed for immigrants in the past 12, 18 months?
Well, globally, it's changed quite drastically and quite rapidly around the world, if I can put it that way. So, whichever country it is that you are looking at, there's been massive changes, but of course, there's specific countries where the demand has gotten higher. If you take into account geopolitics, you've seen all the necessary changes. Some countries have sort of shut down in terms of their recruitment, while specific countries have raised the need for more skilled migrants. For example, if you're looking at New Zealand and Australia, just to take two, they've raised that demand because they see now with the drastic
Yeah,
skills
and
shortage that they have, they need people with skills to come in. They need to develop. They need to grow as well.
absolutely. And that always, a lot of people, when they go into immigration, they usually start with, I just can't find a job. I'm struggling to find a job. So it's obviously not going to happen. That's not necessarily the case. It's more about how you are applying for that job. Are you putting your best skills forward? Are you showing the employer how valuable you are to their company? And this is something that we adapt with you. So if you've chosen a country and you cannot answer what a country visa, how it benefits your unique situation, what requirements are needed for your occupation, how your family's involved, and timelines, then you would need to consider we offer a consultation, which is our step one. Our consultation is to offer you the clarity you need. It is an online consultation. We include the whole family. We answer your questions. We create suggestions. We give you an outlook on the world and your opportunities. And this is the most important step to this process because people spend hundreds and thousands on the wrong country. And when the time comes that they finally figure out the right country, they may have missed the mark because of their age. George, I'm not sure if you are still here with us.
Of course I am.
There we go. Awesome. So, George, when a client comes in for a consultation, what are the make or break criteria that you look at to determine if they have a realistic pathway?
So basically, when I get an inquiry or an assessment form, which is where everything starts there. I would obviously look at their age. We look at the country that they've picked, and then we look at their age. If we can make both work, then we look at the qualification and the occupation. If we can still make all of them work, then so be it. If somebody, for instance, comes to me or fills in an assessment form, they want to go to Australia, they're an electrician, and they're 55 years old, we can't do anything with that. So we have a look at things very holistically. It's not a hit or miss. You're not going to go into consultation not really knowing whether you actually qualify or not. We need to know that you are all that. And we will only sort of take you on as clients if you are. So yeah, the hits or misses are obviously the age, the qualifications that you have, and the occupations that you're in.
Absolutely. And, you know, also a big part of this process is being able to represent you. When we look at, you know, sharing our network and putting your best foot forward in front of employers, we want to know, you know, if you've got a sense of humor, if you take initiative, if you're creative, and all these little elements we unpack in our consultation. And that consultation is also a great way for you to get to know us at Greener Pastures and get to know the company that's going to lead you to a successful generational legacy. It's a mouthful, but at the end of the day, immigration is a huge topic, and it's life-changing. I have immigrated, I've come back. But there are different stories for that. But I do think that it's worthwhile to consider immigration. Sam, I'm not sure if you are there. I've got a question for you.
I'm right here.
There we are. So, Sam, before somebody even looks for a job, why is it critical that they have their destination country locked in first?
No, absolutely. So there's many factors to consider when you're looking at a destination country. Are you going to fit in culturally? Does the country appeal to your family and you as a unique, family setup? And furthermore, the most important thing that people miss is, does that country need to import my skills? So there's a lot of research that you need to do in terms of selecting the country. Many people think, well, okay, I'll just go to New Zealand. But you need to do a little bit of research, which is why I advise people to speak to you and George in terms of the skills that you have to offer. Um, a lot of countries will have this information available and they will openly state that we are in dire shortage of the following skills. So when they do book a consultation with you and George, you'll be able to advise them on which country needs those particular skills.
Absolutely. And there's so many different platforms where we can look at the critical skill shortage. And when we do this assessment, we go through the clarity. We give you the clarity you need to make the right decision. Okay. Once you've made a decision or once you've had your consultation, we like to bring in the after values or the after decision. So you have had your discussion, your consultation. So that is your step one. In your step one, you're seeing the pathway, you're planning your finances, you're coming to the terms of, I'm going to be saying goodbye to my family. But the after values is what we run our company and our everything by. Accountability, we are family focused, we are transparent, we are empathetic, and we are results driven. Empathy is a huge part in this process. I had a meeting with one of my clients actually yesterday where they discussed how they kind of jump shift a little with the job search and they just were so demotivated because they're getting rejection emails. Now, if you're in that situation and you're constantly demotivated, please put a number 3 in the chat box. I want to see how many people actually resonate with the demotivation of getting rejection email after rejection email after rejection email. Very interested to see. So put the number 3 in the chat box. Let's see how many people are feeling this way. And at the end of the day, it's something that everybody feels. Everybody goes through that point where they doubt their process. And that's totally normal. But you have to make the decision. You have to remember your why. And then from your why, we build on that process. So we've got a few number 3s coming through here. And I'm glad that you can see that you're not alone. A lot of people are going through this, but we come into this process with a whole different perspective. Okay. Awesome. So let's move on from here. Our next step is preparation. So if we look at immigration, a big part of immigration, and I'm sure I'm going to ask Sam and Faraz a little bit later, but all the rejections that come through are automated, okay? And you've got to find a way to have a competitive edge in this process, okay? Now, your competitive edge, I just want to jump to another slide quickly. I got my order a little bit wrong here. There we go. So here you can see between the 90s to the 2000s, people have the amount of migrants have increased. So you are no longer the only person going through this process. You are now competing with Africa, North America, Asia, Europe, the Oceania, Latin America, the Caribbean. So how do you stand out? And this is very, very important for our process. Going back to this one, is we basically give you that competitive edge by taking the risk off of the employer. Okay, so the preparation stance is purely paperwork. Occupations, getting your skills assessments, your English tests, your registrations, preparing every single document for your visa application, knowing what visa application to go for, and positioning yourself as, I am not a risk to the employer. I have my own immigration agent. I've got my own options lined up for me. So I don't need you to basically pay for me, cover all these costs. I'm prepared in every single way. Now, Faraz, I'm going to give you a scenario. As a top recruiter, if you receive 2 identical CVs and one explicitly states qualifications locally assessed and visa ready, how much faster do you pick up the phone to call them?
Much
why?
faster. When they are visa ready, they have all the documents in order. It's a lot quicker to move them because the employers know that they don't have to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 months to get them there. When they are visa ready, they have all the documents in order. Employers are more prone to give them an opportunity because they don't have to wait for whatever other documents with Home Affairs, etc., that they may need. And some of those documents can take quite a while. So we focus on the people that are visa ready or document ready before anyone else, because that would be the quickest placement.
Absolutely. And George, how long did these skills and qualification assessments typically take, or the document ready stage?
It really depends on the candidates. So historically, I would say it takes about 5 months to get you fully immigration ready. And whilst we're getting you sort of immigration or document ready, we make sure that these qualification assessments or any occupational registration that you require is done within that time frame. It is a historical number. Just this morning, I congratulated clients that visas came through. Although it is historically for 5-6 months to get them document ready, they took 4 weeks and they were 100% ready. And then Sam LaRue got them work in 10 days. So
Amazing.
it is possible.
Well done.
Yeah. Look, it's not the norm, because if you have occupational registration like an electrician, for instance, would need, I mean, you could wait 12 to 16 weeks for that to come through. So when you are working with us, we factor in all of these sort of timelines, and we can make sure that by the time you are document ready, you occupational ready as well, and whatever qualification assessments you need are also done. We try to make sure that everything is done timeously and streamlined. We run as many processes parallel with one another as we can.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to give you a bit of a scenario, I've had clients come to me with job offers from Australia, a fitter, and the employer 100%, I've got the job offer, I really, really want to. But for a fitter to get a skills assessment, it can take up to 6 months. Once they've got the skills assessment, then they have to go through the visa process, which could take 9 to 12 weeks. So that employer that had given that fitter a job offer actually rejected the job offer or withdrew it because it took too long. So that your competitive edge is being prepared and being ready with the employer, telling them, I have a timeline, I've got a visa agent, I'm ready if you need me. So if that is something, you know, that you are not sure about, I've posed a question in the chat box. Do you already have your official qualification assessments, English language tests? Do you have that ready? If you do, please type in A, yes, all done, B, in progress, or C, no, I thought I'd do that after getting a job offer. Now, that's just your occupation. I mean, George and I have been, George has been working on a few of my clients where the actual relationship evidence is the longest. And there's certain formats. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, George.
Yeah, I would say out of that 5 months, a good 4 months is spent on on getting my my evidence of proof of relationship folder right. Guys, this is something that's really overlooked in most cases. If you have a partner, say, I'm not hypothesizing here or stereotyping, but say, for instance, a husband has a job offer and he's got a loving family with children and he wants them to go with, then we need to prove that you and your partner are in, and we need to prove 4 things: genuine, steady, credible, and enduring relationship where you live under the same roof for 12 months. A marriage certificate alone is not going to cut it. We have an astronomical amount of work to do. And we guide you through this. We make sure that it's done. We won't take chances, and we'll keep pushing until we get what we need, which is good for you at the end of the day.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's, you know, people don't realize it, but there's certain formats, there's certain documents, and there's not a one size fits all. This is why we suggest, let's start with a consultation. Step 1, get clarity, get your roadmap. I've posted a link in the chat box. My consultation fee is 350 Rand. We are advised, we've got all the right people in the team, and we are basically taking you on a journey to see where your future could be and giving you all the clarity you need. So please click on the consultation link, make the most out of it, but do step 1 of this journey. And as you can see from all of that, back to this lovely graph, international migrants have increased. And it's constantly going to grow. It's easier and easier and easier for people to move. But how are you standing out? How many of you have applied for overseas jobs on standard job portals and received 0 responses? If that's you, type me in the chat box, because that is a reality. This is why we exist as a company. And we're going to go into a very important topic that you probably are all here for. Step 3, the job. Question. We know that standard job portals can be a black hole for international applicants. What hidden networking channels should candidates be using instead to get noticed globally?
That's such a good question, Amy. And the thing that most people don't realize is that most screening is done through AI, first of all. So gone are the days when you would have your CV looked at by a human. You actually have AI that auto screens your CV and then suggests it to a human. Now, a couple of things. When looking for a job, people hire people. Machines don't hire people. So the best way is to network. And we offer a service where we will teach you how to network effectively and what tools to use in this day and age to identify who to network with. And that is absolutely crucial. What platforms are hiring managers hanging out on? How to connect with them, what to say, what not to say. There's a definite strategy that works, and we are here to teach you all about that.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, if you have questions, please pop it in the chat box. You've got a platform with 2 top global recruiters from South Africa here in this room. We've also got a licensed immigration agent and a MARA agent. Pop your questions in the chat box. Make the most out of this moment. For us, what are the biggest red flags on a standard domestic CV that completely disqualify a candidate for international if they're looking as from an international lens?
Well, some of the biggest red flags that you generally come across is firstly format. I would say going along with that would be jargon as well. So people generally use an incorrect format that the AI doesn't necessarily recognize as something that is local. Along with that is the common jargon of that specific country. And generally, if you haven't interacted with too many people within that country or within work environments over there, you wouldn't necessarily understand the jargon that's needed to be within your CV, for example. So all of that content becomes irrelevant because you're putting the wrong keywords and the AI is not picking up your keywords to push your CV through to the next phase of the recruitment process. So you just get automatically rejected.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's important. There's different languages that are used regularly, different softwares that are used regularly. And it's important that you have somebody like us that have this industry insight. So I've got a few little pointers here that I wanted to just go through about our process when it comes to step 3, finding the job. So as a company, we make sure that you are visible. We give you the traction you need to find those opportunities. We focus on something called the hidden job market. For us, can you maybe give a little pointer as to what the hidden job market is?
So the hidden job market is a space where we find vacancies that aren't exactly advertised in the regular processes. So some companies, of course, will advertise via Seek or via LinkedIn, but then 80% of those vacancies aren't exactly advertised in the usual ways. So some companies, such as smaller to intermediate level companies, want to find cheaper ways of finding candidates. And naturally, we know those ways. We have access to those ways. Furthermore, we have active networks all across New Zealand, Australia, and various other countries that feed us all of these necessary information. so that we can submit our candidates and help them find an opportunity a lot quicker than anyone would be able to. Aside from that networking, there's also various other spaces where you would find these vacancies, these opportunities, and information regarding these opportunities. And we have the means and the know-how on how to get to those opportunities. The hidden job market is a massive world. It's a lot of information, and it's very difficult to find if you don't know where to look.
Absolutely. And Sam mentioned earlier, people hire people.
Correct.
So when we look at the hidden job market, I know in South Africa and internationally, every company, if they're looking for another role, they will first present it to their staff. Do
Correct.
you know somebody? And if you are not connecting with those people, how on earth would they ever find you? You're just going straight into a system. And the hidden job market is a way that we teach you and we guide you so you get into that and you get an opportunity that is worth your while. That also leads on to the direct exposure. Sam, Faraz, they have worked with hundreds of different employers. Their success rates are off the charts. And that is from building relationships, from being consistent. I mean, Faraz has been in New Zealand himself, speaking to employers face to face. That direct exposure is what you buy into, but it's also what we teach you. We teach you the importance of networking to get that traction, to join the hidden job market, and to be exposed to those opportunities. Okay, that's a bit of a training coaching side. It's an extra value add. We keep you very, very, very busy. But beyond that, for us, we do all the job applications on your behalf. Can you believe it? I mean, I know a lot of other companies will send you links. Just sign on to this and do the applications. You are not a recruiter. We've got the skill set. We know what needs to be done, what needs to be said to make you stand out, to give you that competitive edge. From that, we've got the dual track strategy. So the dual track strategy, sorry, my words, it's been a long day. But the dual track strategy is let's look at different options. Let's look at ways to speed up your process. So we've got skilled migration with Australia, where you can go into a pooling system. You can get an invite for permanent residency without an employer involved. And we can also look at different industries. If you've got experience in multiple different industries, we can split the search and we can make sure that you are getting exposed with the right traction. And the support is a huge one. For us, I don't know if you can maybe share, what is the latest meeting you've ever had with an onboarded client?
Well, to be honest, the meetings have been at various times, and I can't say if it's late or if it's early, to be honest. Uh, there was one of the clients quite recently, about 2 weeks ago, and for me here in South Africa, in Pretoria, it was about just before 1 o'clock in the morning. So I
Sure.
was panicking because I'm not sure if she's going to jump into the interview. She had the interview at 1 o'clock in the morning here, and I'm popping her messages. It's not going through. I'm trying to call her. It's not going through, and I'm panicking. And eventually, she happens to answer the phone, and we start. And I'm prepping her about half an hour before the meeting, so just after midnight. So it gets quite crazy sometimes, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, depending. And then I'm doing last minute prep, just a quick refresher before the interview itself. So it can be quite late sometimes and it can be quite early sometimes. It just depends on the time
Absolutely.
zone.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's just a huge example of the support we offer. Sam mentioned to me the other day, the interviews are not as difficult as the interviews getting the interview is not as difficult as passing the interview. Sam, I'm not sure if you can give a little insight on that.
Absolutely. And I mean, what most people don't realize is that each country has a different interview style. So if you're looking at Australia and New Zealand, you'll normally have a first interview that is a quick shoot the breeze. It's a 20-minute general chit chat, and they're just looking to establish common ground with you. And then people think, wow, that went so amazing. We just spoke about rugby and cricket and soccer, and I'm in. I can't believe it. And I say, hang on, that's just the intro interview. Timing is another issue. Here locally, we will have an interview, maybe a second interview, and you're hired. You'll know by the end of the week. However, overseas, it doesn't work like that. They are investing in you. So before they spend that kind of money, they're going to do a couple of rounds of interviews with you. And their timing is not as fast as we have it locally. So you can have a first interview for 20 minutes, shoot the breeze, and that boosts your confidence. And you think, man, I'm in. I can't believe it, but not. A couple of weeks will go by and you won't hear anything. And most people, they can fall apart under the stress behind that because it's unknown, why they're not reaching out to me, what's going on, did they hire someone else? And we say, no, it's quite normal. You're going to wait 2 to 3 weeks before you hear back. And out of the blue, you're going to get a panel interview, much like we're having now. This is much more technical, where they want to have a discussion with you about the problems the company is having. In other words, why they're hiring a person, what that person needs to do to help the company. And in that interview, you need to be able to articulate how your skills can solve their problems. Fantastic. A lot of people bomb out in these interviews. They just suddenly, and I've seen it 100 times. No matter how well we coach a person, in between that meeting, a light bulb goes off and they suddenly start panicking because they're not focused on the interview and discussing their skills. They're busy having a stress point where they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. And suddenly the interview just collapses. And this is where we see a lot of people saying, Sam, I don't know what happened, but it bombed. It bombed. And we say, look, we prepare you for this beforehand. And the goal is to try and get you as many first interviews as possible. Shoot the breeze with 10 different companies. In the second round of interviews, you'll notice the same kind of timing. There'll be 2 to 3 weeks delay, and all of a sudden, everybody's contacting you for second interviews. And it's okay to bomb the first one. Everybody feels nervous. Everybody has that little switch in the mind that clicks in halfway through the interview, and they panic. And this is normal. But after doing a few of these second interview rounds, people start to relax because now it's feeling more normal. And we prepare you for that. And it doesn't stop there. You can expect another 2 to 3, sometimes 4 to 6 weeks delay. And all of a sudden, you're panicking. You've done the whole emotional cycle. You've Googled where the company is. You've Googled where you could potentially live, where your kids could potentially go to school. And we say, please don't do this. Tempting, but don't do it. Because after weeks of silence, you get another interview request, and they're so friendly in their culture, especially New Zealand, to just meet with you and tell you that they've gone with someone else. And you can imagine how catastrophic this feels, which is why we try and arrange as many first interviews with various different companies as possible, various different second interviews, because emotionally you could bomb maybe one of the interviews. Or some of those companies at round 3 will say, we've gone with someone else. But some of them will pull through. And the funny thing about that third interview is it's just someone asking you for your references. We love this when we hear this because we know an offer is coming. And our strategy is to aim to have as many first, second, and third interview stage processes happen. I know a lot of families say it's too overwhelming. I can't remember who I interviewed with, and there's just too many. But it's actually scientifically a numbers game. You understand? So that we at least give you options as opposed to just taking any old offer that comes along and suddenly you're leaping in. And emotionally, this is a very difficult part of your life, extremely difficult. But we've successfully moved over numerous families. We know how the cycle works. We know when you're starting to panic, and we'll say, remember when we told you you are here? This is where you are. And we take you through that process because it is hell of a challenging emotionally. And that is something that everybody says, no, but that's fine. I can handle it. But when it's happening to you, we're here to help you to see the logic.
Absolutely. So just as a summary, we're at step 3 of 4 now. So step 1 is get that clarity, that roadmap to where you are going. Step 2 is prepare yourself, have that competitive edge compared to all the people that are immigrating. Get your documents in order. Step 3, let's get you a job. People always ask the question, what comes first, the job or the visa? It does depend on the country, but majority of the time, it's the job. So now you've gone through this process with us, and now we've got a job offer lined up, and we're happy with the job offer. We've looked at the terms, we are happy with the pay, we're happy with the hours, we are ready to continue with the process. So step 4 is where our awesome visa agent comes into play. So, sorry, the community didn't go through properly. So George, job offer's been secured. What does the actual timeline look like for the final visa submission to be approved, and what should families expect?
Right, so things are changing dramatically. Generally, for a New Zealand work visa, AEWV, I would say, because it always depends on how well the application is put together. I put them together as best as I absolutely can. Generally speaking, about 10 days, working days for a New Zealand work visa. Partners and children always come after. So where we say 10 working days for the main applicant, we say maybe 20, 25 for the secondary applicants to come through. But immigration, something's happening. And it's been over the last 3 months. They are looking at everything so much more closely than I've ever seen in the last 12 years of being in this industry. So timelines are now thrown out. What you want is to be assured that it's going to be lodged as quickly as possible, which is what we aim for, and that it's lodged in the best light possible to make sure that as best we can, immigration is not going to ask any questions and it'll just go through the process like it normally does. What we've seen is that just about every medical gets flagged for something at the moment. So that obviously, as it gets flagged, then has to go to a medical assessor, which completely makes the immigration or the case officer stop their work. And then they have to wait for the assessor to finish with their work before they can continue. So it's very, very difficult to determine these days how long it should take. But with us, we will make sure that it is as quick as possible, and we will update you a few times a week on the progress. So it's very difficult to say. We want to say as quickly as darn possible, and we still aim for 10 days for the main applicant and 25 days for the secondary applicants being partner and children.
Okay, so 10, 25 days, if we were to say about a month for the main applicant, let's just manage expectations here. So the visa submission, this is the time where now it's getting real. Now you're going through all these emotions. Now you're panicking, selling property, putting in your resignation, doing all the things. We have every faith that your visa will be approved. But the reality of this industry is we cannot guarantee it. The reason we cannot guarantee it is we keep the communication open, but if there is something that you have not shared with us that is now online, we don't know about it, they will find out about it.
Oh,
The
yeah.
immigration advisors will always find out. And then also, on that point, the reason that it's good to use an immigration advisor for New Zealand or Australia is as you're going through this process, that person is in direct contact with your immigration officer.
Yeah. So sorry if I may just come in again.
Go for it.
Something that still stresses me out, it's happened twice in my career so far, is this dreaded request for further information, RFI. That makes an immigration advisor stop in his tracks. Whatever he's doing, he stops, he puts it all down, and he puts everything into this. It happens. It's happening all the time. It's happening more regularly than it ever happened before. A request for further information is where immigration has looked through everything and they're not satisfied. If you get that, like I said, you try everything and you work on that. It's not as if they give you a month to satisfy them. They give you a couple of days. And, the second RFI we got on a Thursday. The Monday, New Zealand time, it had to be in. So we got it on the Thursday afternoon because, on the Thursday morning outside, it was really Thursday evening in New Zealand. The Monday, it had to be done. Or the Sunday night outside, it had to be done.
That's quick.
Use a company
Yeah.
we need to get you through this because it's stressful for you. It's just as stressful for us that we have the ability to do it for you because we've got all this information at our fingertips. We can get it right. Do not try to do things on your own.
100%. And, just a little peek into, this process. If you don't have the right format of your birth certificate and they ask for it, Home Affairs can take 6 weeks to get it for you. So now you're at a point where you've spent all this money, you've resigned from your job, you're excited for this process. Your visa will be denied because you're not prepared. Don't go through that. It's emotionally exhausting. And I've had clients that have gone through that process and I've had to give them new hope. And that is so much harder at the end of the day because you are defined by your experience. So we always have your best interests at heart. Our goal is to get you in and out. We're not a business where you pay us on a monthly basis, and the longer we keep you, the better. We have set fees. You come in, you go out, and we keep in contact with you. With regards to the visa submission, we've got our immigration agents to deal with that. But while you are stressing out, waiting for the process to be approved, let's look at your logistics. Where are you going to live? How are you going to get there? How are you going to drive around? Putting your kids in school, moving pets, finding furniture. All the logistics of your move, we make it possible. I've been speaking to a few people that in Australia and in New Zealand that offer financing for cars, for houses, real estate agents. Even financing for residency is an option. So there's lots of different things out there that can benefit you. And when we go through your relocations, the actual move, we put it all in play so that you don't have to stress last minute. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. We've done this before. We do it for you. And then a very awesome situation. So the community connections. We are a South African company, so Ubuntu is a big part of our processes. But let me give you a little story. So we had a client that we George submitted that visa application. Very, very happy with the outcome. To be honest, I was doubting myself a little bit, but Sam and Faraz managed to get her a visa, not a visa, sorry, a job offer. She worked with another company for over 2 years, and with us, within 9 months, we got her the job, the visa, and she moved. But with regards to that move, community connections is super important. So this client is a single mother with a 12-year-old daughter. She's moving to a new country, to a new city that's pretty far from everything else. She knows nobody. So I put her in contact with a lady called Yvette. Yvette also has a daughter, and her daughter and this client's daughter is going to the same school. We managed to line that up. Yvette doesn't know this client from a bar of soap, but what they had in common, they were both South African. And what Yvette did, she picked up our client from the airport, took her to her new house, welcomed her in for supper. Their kids got to know each other, and that move just felt like a home situation. You know, it's so difficult to take your whole life and replicate it in a whole new country. But with the right contacts and the right people backing you, it's possible, and it makes it so much easier to do. So that's our 4 steps. So the first step is consultation, get that clarity. Step 2, prepare your documentation. Once you've made that decision and you've come on board, you'll be speaking with George and myself, and we'll get you that competitive edge. Once you've got that competitive edge, we'll be working with Sam and Faraz in getting you that dream job that's going to make this whole process fall in place. And now to wrap it all up, we've got step 4, let's do your visa and let's make that move happen. So we are running out of time. I did say that we are having some questions in play. I haven't seen many questions on the chat box, but a lot of the questions are quite specific to occupations. And this is where we say, have a consultation, because your occupation, if we look at, there's a question here, Mbasa, are you able to advise which countries currently have a high recruitment drive for construction, engineering, and medical professionals? Construction has so many subcategories. Engineering has so many subcategories. Medical has so many subcategories. What are you? Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? Are you a quantity surveyor? Are you a trades professional? Are you a building supervisor? What is your role? There is so much more than just a straight answer. And that is why we suggest have that consultation. It's not a huge cost. It's 350 Rand to give you all the clarity you need for this process. So our time is running out. Some contact information, you can find our website, gpvisas.com. If you want to reach out about a consultation, questions, processes, you can email inquiry@gpvisas.com. Just to put that also, I have put it in the chat box already, but I will put it through again, just been sent. And then a final little giant thank you. George, I know you're freezing up the hill. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Sam is in PE and Faraz is in Johannesburg. We're all over South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your insight has been incredible, and we hope to speak to all of you very soon.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good evening, everyone. Bye.
Cheers, guys.